All right, back for part 2 for ZoNation Christmas. I know it's not like PC or whatever because everybody should be represented. Well, actually, everybody is represented because the gift that Jesus offers is for everybody. Everybody may not be interested in receiving what he's given, even though it's something everybody wants, but just because everybody doesn't want to receive this gift from him doesn't mean he didn't give this gift to everybody.
I think what happened. Propaganda.
Now let's examine Santa Claus. There's history that points to the origins of the Santa Claus story. But let me offer you this. Santa Claus is a means to relate the story of Jesus to your kids. Remember, y'all, it's about relating and connecting the gospel with people, even the younger ones. And a means to relate Jesus to kids would kind of like be through Santa Claus. Unfortunately, Santa Claus isn't often used to relate the story of Jesus to kids. I know it wasn't with me, and I don't know of anyone who has been. Santa Claus is a figure who comes like a thief in the night, just like the Messiah will. But when the Messiah comes, the only thing he'll be stealing is you. But this stealing away will be the greatest gift you've ever received. Santa Claus will do his work in one night with a twinkle in his eye as his speed, just as the hour of the Messiah's Exodus visit will happen in the twinkle of an eye. The work of Santa Claus is done by elves. It refers to the work of a certain gift that can't possibly be performed by human hands. The gift that the Messiah gives, no human can make. Has mankind come up with an eternal life machine? Found a way to bottle the fountain of youth? It is the gift that mankind has ever yearned for, but can't make. Santa Claus is dressed in red. It's a picture of Jesus covered in blood. Santa Claus descends down the fireplace to bring gifts. It's a picture of Jesus descending into the fiery place to bring the gift of the gospel so the inhabitants can follow him to be free from eternal death. The enemy of us all is death. People are looking for that leader who can do the battle to make things right. And too often people don't even know who the evil is anyway. And too often they accuse the good of being bad and throw their support to the evil. But one thing we can pretty much agree on is that death sucks. It is the greatest oppressor of us all. It is a prison that nobody can escape from once you're behind its bars. And all throughout history, man has tried to beat death, as well as try to make a perfect world or some sort of utopia. The atheists ridicule the Christians because by biblical account, mankind is only a few thousand years old. But if the academics are correct, that man has been here far, far longer, then shouldn't it have dawned on you that after all this time, man does not have the answer for unity and peace, and most certainly doesn't have the answer to defeating the greatest enemy of us all, death. And the only one worthy to be king of us all is the only one who can defeat the enemy of us all. The only way Jesus could show mankind in a way that most people would grasp was to die as a man himself. He didn't just commit suicide in his own private way because it lends too much to people saying he could have faked it. He didn't die in battle because it lends too much to people doubting the reports of his death. Nope, the way he died was a perfect murder. He sacrificed himself in a rescue mission. In this rescue mission, he was seen up close and personal. His trial was carried in different areas. They saw it over here and they saw it over there. He was paraded as a bloody mess and hung on a cross in public display. And the only thing he had to cover himself with was his blood. All this was the best way to make sure that there were witnesses who would see and report what they saw. Some still wouldn't believe, but this was the best way to minimize disbelief. Jesus most assuredly died and then returned, showing that he is the only one who is able to defeat the enemy of us all. The greatest gift that will ever be given is liberation from eternal death. No man can give you that. It's funny because it's a gift that we all want. Eternal life and perfect peace and joy. But so many reject the only one who can give it. See, if Buddha could give you eternal life, he would have died and came back to show you that he could. If Muhammad could give you eternal life, he would have died and came back to show you that he could, or any other figure. But Jesus died before witnesses and returned before witnesses, proving that he is the only one who can conquer death. So what? People have seen Elvis. Okay, Find me a group of these people who are prepared to be burned alive to stick to that story. With those who saw resurrected Jesus, it's a whole different ballgame. Jesus backs it up when he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father but by me. And why would you follow some liberal idea that you can get into heaven any old way that you want to? Jesus isn't the only way. Look, you can't get into college any old way that you want to. You can't even get into a gang any old way that you want to. What makes you think you can get into heaven any old way that you want to? Many people say they didn't choose to be born, even though most people are pretty glad they were. But you actually have a conscious and sovereign choice on if you want to be born again. You can ponder it now. You can choose if you want to experience life eternally and in perfect peace. This is the gift that Jesus gives. He proved it. Or you can wait for some scientist to come up with a machine that can store your consciousness in cyberspace indefinitely or until somebody trips over the plug. Or for those who are already dead, I guess that invention's a little late for them, Jesus is the only one who can go back for them and free them from eternal death, purify them, and bring them into eternal life. It's almost like a distillation process, evaporated and leaving behind the impurities and reconstructed in a purified state. And while we're here, you'll want to be ready for when the great distiller calls. This is the greatest gift anyone can give. We all want immortality. We all want to get older, but not old. We don't want disease, famine, war, pestilence, but rely on human leaders to solve these things by their own so-called intellect and dismiss the counsel of the Lord, the only one who can end all of it. But why expect his way to work in the world when you don't want to follow his instructions or cherry pick his instructions or use his name in vain to justify what you think is right? Come on, y'all. I'm Alfonso Rachel with ZoNation, and next we'll talk about what the gift that only the Lord can give looks like. So what? People have seen Elvis.